Plants Protected by Insects by Anonymous. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Reading by Bologna Times. Plants Protected by Insects from Scientific American, Volume 40, Number 13, March 29, 1879. Mr. Francis Darwin, in a lecture on Means of Self-Defense Among Plants, delivered lately at the London Institution, said that one of the most curious forms of defense known is afforded by a recently discovered class of plants, which, being stingless themselves, are protected by stinging ants, which make their home in the plant and defend it against its enemies. Of these, the most remarkable is the bull's horn acacia, described by the late Mr. Belt in his book, The Naturalist in Nicaragua, a shrubby tree with gigantic curved thorns, from which its name is derived. These horns are hollow and tenanted by ants, which bore a hole in them, and the workers may be seen running about over the green leaves. If a branch is shaken, the ants swarm out of the thorns and attack the aggressor with their stings. Their chief service to the plant consists in defending it against leaf-cutting ants, which are the great enemy of all vegetation in that part of America. The latter form large underground nests, and their work of destruction consists in gathering leaves, which they strip to form heaps of material, which become covered over with a delicate white fungus on which the larvae of the ants are fed, so that literally they are a colony of mushroom growers. The special province of the little stinging ants, which live in the thorns of the acacia, is, therefore, to protect the leaves of the shrub from being used by the leaf cutters to make mushroom beds. Certain varieties of the orange tree have leaves which are distasteful to the leaf cutters, this property of the leaves thus forming a means of defense. Other plants are unaccountably spared by them. Grass, for example, which, if brought to the nest, is at once thrown out by some ant in authority. The bull's horn acacia, in return for the service rendered by the stinging ants, not only affords them shelter in its thorns, but provides them with nectar secreted by glands at the base of its leaves, and also grows for them small, yellow, pear-shaped bodies, about 1/12 of an inch in length, at the tip of some of its leaflets, which they use as food. These little yellow bodies are made up of cells containing protoplasm rich in oil, and afford the insects an excellent food. When the leaf unfolds, the ants may be seen running from one leaflet to another to see if these little yellow bodies are ripe, and if they are ready to be gathered, they are broken up by the ants and carried away to the nest in the thorn. Several small birds, also, build their nests in the bull's horn acacia, thus escaping from a predatory ant which is capable of killing young birds. The trumpet tree, another plant of South and Central America, is also protected by a standing army of ants, and, like the above-mentioned acacia, grows for its protectors small food bodies containing oil, but instead of secreting nectar in its leaves, it harbors a small insect, coccus, whose sweet secretion is much relished by the ants. Dr. Beccari mentions an epiphytal plant growing on trees in Borneo, the seeds of which germinate, like those of the mistletoe, on the branches of the tree, and the seedling stem, crowned by the cotyledons, grows to about an inch in length, remaining in that condition until a certain species of ant bites a hole in the stem, which then produces a gall-like growth that ultimately constitutes the home of the ants. If the plant is not fortunate enough to be bitten by an ant, it dies. These ants, then, protect their plant home by rushing out fiercely on intruders, and thus are preserved the sessile white flowers which, in this plant, are developed on the tuber-like body. End of Plants Protected by Insects by Anonymous.